Welcome to Wildflower. My name is Romina Rasmussen and I am the pastry chef at Le Madeleine in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we're going to be making sugar cookies and talking about measuring for kindergartners, because little kids, they love to cook and they learned how to bake. And in fact, I was about 5 in kindergarten when I first learned how to bake. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. They don't know fractions, so I would suggest that when you refer to something as instead of referring to it as a quarter, that you refer to it as 1/4. So for example, we have 1 1/4 of a cup of sugar here with our butter, which is 2 sticks of butter. So, and just in general, when you measure it with measuring cups, you should always pour in what you're measuring and then level it off, as opposed to scooping it up, because that kind of compacts it and you end up with a different amount, which is why pastry chefs actually like to weigh things, but that's a whole nother topic. So 1/4 of a cup instead of, or 1/3. Little kids seem to know what a half is, so they might be able to relate to that. So we've got, like I said, 2 sticks of butter and 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar. I like to use powdered sugar. And I threw in a vanilla bean just for good measure, but that's completely optional. So what I'm going to do is I've beaten my butter until it's fluffy. And so I'm going to add 3 eggs, no fractions, to that. And I'm going to scrape down in between each one. And one of the things that I like to do when I measure liquids is to pour it into my eggs so that I don't lose a lot to the cup. So if you're explaining to a kindergartner how to measure one of these, we're going to find our tablespoon here. And we're going to tell them that when you measure, you have to have it looking like it's almost going to pour out of the cup. You want a convex curve because, oops, water has a different surface area than solids do. So anyway, spilled a little, that's okay. So I'm going to scrape down my bowl. And yeah, I was about 5 the first time I took a baking class. And I've been doing it ever since. So that's a great way to get kids excited about food and cooking in general and eating different things that maybe aren't so processed. So we're going to add our next egg. You want to make sure not to overbeat your eggs, because that will make for a tough and chewy cookie. Wipe up my vanilla there. And there we go. Our 3rd egg. I'll scrape it down one more time as soon as it's ready. Room temperature eggs are great for this. Mine were a little too cold putting them in, but that's okay. Your finished product will be just fine. Okay, and here I have 4 cups of cake flour, so it's a little bit less gluten in there, and which makes for a lighter, fluffier cookie, and then also a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to pour it all in at once. Whoops. And I'm going to mix it just until it's combined. I don't want to over mix it, because then I'll end up with kind of hard, dry cookies. And that comes from the gluten. So as soon as it's almost mixed together, I'll take it off and finish it off with my spatula, which is something I do with all cakes and cookies. That way I can make sure that I get what's stuck to the paddle or on that bump on the bottom of the bowl. So get it all off there. And then what I would do with this, you don't want to use it right away. You want to chill it for about a half hour before you roll it out and cut it into shapes. But I'm just going to finish it off by hand there, so I have a nice dough that doesn't have any more flour in it. And that's how you make sugar cookies and measuring with kindergartners.